Okay, so this is my final report on my subject for Education 5365, and let's get right into it. So I have Brian in my resource room. He's always been in resource room ever since he's been in middle school, 6th, 7th grade, and now 8th grade. He's been in our school system his whole life. His parents only speak Spanish at home, so I assume that he learned English from our school. I know he was in kindergarten, he may have been in preschool. But he speaks English very well. His issues are in reading, as you can see, and his written expression skills are low as well. Again, they speak only Spanish at home. With COVID, he's only with me 2 days a week, so 5 days a week, it's Spanish, except when he's reading for me at home, he reads in English. So that's one of his challenges. As you know, the languages are very different, especially in the areas of vowel sounds. Spanish has 5 vowel sounds. We have dozens. So that's a tough area for him. I chose him because he's a good kid. He's hard working. He's friendly. He does everything I ask. He stayed after school with me, came in early in the morning sometimes to do the testing, because I couldn't really do it during the day because I have other students with him. He likes science and sports. He does well when he reads in those areas because he's very interested in it. It helps his comprehension. Like I said, he can converse very well in English. But when it gets to putting things on paper and reading, he has some difficulties. So here's specifically his areas of his issues. You can see the Woodcock test, and these are all the word parts of the Woodcock test for miscue analysis and word recognition. Kind of around the 6th grade, between 5th and 6th. Some of his areas dip down to 4th, but he's in that range between 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And as far as age equivalent, like between 9 and 11 years old. He's 13, and again, he's in 8th grade, so he is behind. He does well with 1-syllable words and simple 2-syllable words that he can recognize, like he can pronounce something. He can pronounce anything because he notices those 2 words. He knows they go together. But you give him multi-syllable words that aren't so easily split up, and he has issues. So that's one of the problems that he has. Not the main one, but it is one of the problems. QRI, I got him, he was independent for a couple of sessions, 4 and 5, and then he went up to 6 for the narrative, instructional. I gave him the core reading comprehension 7A test. He did well, but he did well only on what he needed to do well on, which is identifying the intended words in sentences. And in the passage, they had specific sentences singled out, and then there was a choice of 3 words. So he worked really hard on reading the sentence, figuring out the right word, and putting it in. Even if he didn't quite know what the word meant, he knew how it was supposed to sound, the sentence. And he could tell some of the words didn't fit. But he couldn't tell me what the story was about, because he was so focused on finishing the sentences and getting the words right, he didn't really focus on the story. And that's what happens when he reads sometimes. He gets so focused on trying to figure out what the words are, he doesn't put them all together and get some idea of what he's reading. For phonics awareness and vocab, you could see his issues with vowels. Again, Spanish and English are very different in how we handle vowels, and that makes a lot of problems for him. He's good with simple words. He gets to words he doesn't know, he kind of stops. He really knows what he knows, and he knows what he doesn't know, and he doesn't really like to get into areas that he doesn't know what he's doing. He's afraid to make a mistake. I am trying to get him to take more risks, which is part of my kind of strategy with him. Here's his TOWEL scores. You can see lack of ELA skills. They hold back his storytelling because he can't really elaborate. He doesn't look at the overall picture when he's reading. He goes word by word and sentence by sentence, and he has a hard time putting it together, except if it's something that he likes. Like he read a sports story, he told me every single detail. He read something about science, he told me every single detail. because it was that important to him, the overall subject he was reading about. But anything beyond that, he has issues concentrating. Emergent literacy, he's good with environmental print. He knows what's going on around him. He knows to read from left to right, all of that. He knows his consonant digraph sounds. But when he gets into vowels, he has troubles, which is part of my strategy, is to make sure he focuses on this Words Will Wait program, which looks specifically at things like vowel patterns. He needs that. We read together a lot when we're in school. As I said, I only have him 2 days. But he reads to me, I read to him. I try to model reading, inflection and things like that, and he's learning that. So that's all good for him. I mean, I try to be a good role model as far as writing. I write with the kids. When they write, I write on the overhead so they can see what I'm doing. And when they read, I read. Sometimes I read out loud to all of them. I only have 3 kids in the class that Brian's in, so I'm sorry, 4. One was a virtual but came back last week. So I get to spend a lot of one-on-one time with them, which is very good. Here's his total reading summary. He's around the 4th grade level, around 10th grade, 10 years old. His reading comprehension level is the same way. He has word identification issues, multisyllabic words, and he has difficulty with vowel sounds and comprehension in reading and writing. So this is what I've been doing with him almost since the beginning of the year, because I did have a report, an IEP that I read that gave me a lot of background. He reads on his level, books that he can hold and books he uses online. When he's home, he goes on Epic. It's a program that lets him find topics that he likes first, and then he finds the books at his level. His parents know that he needs to go on that every day. When he's not in school, I can look and see how much time he spent on Epic. Usually it's about 20 minutes to half an hour. And he'll read, there's short books that he picks. Sometimes he reads 2 books in one session. But he goes on every day, the 5 days that I don't have him. Even on the weekends he goes on. And he has books that he takes home with him. But he's more likely to go on the computer than to read the books at home. I'm working with comprehension programs with him called ReadWorks and Edpuzzle. They're short passages, and then they answer questions about them. On the Edpuzzle, it's a video, and it stops at certain points, and they have to answer questions before they can go on. Both of those involve letting them go back and look at the passages to try and figure things out, which is good. They're learning how to, I mean, he's not the only one that does this. It's kind of a class thing, but it's good for him because he's learning how to pull out important things in stories and passages like this, and his scores have been going up, consistently, slowly but consistently. For spelling and vocab, the Words the Way program is great. You can focus right in and exactly on what issues he has, and he has trouble with vowel sounds, so we're looking at that. I also pair this with a program called Quizlet. I put whatever spelling their words they're working on that week into this program. It pronounces the words for them. It uses them in a sentence. It gives them meaning, because Words the Way doesn't give them definitions, just the spelling and the words. So that's helping him as well. It's building his vocabulary up. And he's working very hard, and I'm happy to report that he is doing better. He writes with me every day. Usually we do, 2 or 3 different writing pieces. Then he picks one he wants to focus on, and we go back and edit it and fix the issues that he has with, with capitals and commas and complete sentences and spelling and everything else. And he likes to write. He kind of enjoys it once he has something that he can really say. That's the biggest problem that he has, is figuring out what he wants to say, or, kind of getting motivated, which I guess is a problem for all writers. But he's a good kid. As far as his personal growth, I want to try and encourage him to take more risks. He doesn't do that enough. And, he's getting there little by little, but he's a very cautious kid. He doesn't want to make a mistake, And I've told him, look, the only way you're going to learn is to make mistakes. I mean, that's how everybody grows. So, going forward, I think as he matures, he'll do better. He'll be more comfortable with taking risks. He'll get confident. He's a good kid. I like him very much. He likes me, and we get along well. And I am seeing growth in what I've been doing with him up to this point. Okay? Thanks for your time.